Which version of Kane? If you could draft any era, electric rookie, playoff magician, or the jaw-dropping 2015 to 2016 cheat code, which do you pick? This story makes the case for mastery, the year Patrick Kane reached his absolute peak, leading Chicago to a 47-26-9 record and 103 points. Here's how the ultimate Kane season changed what was possible in the NHL. The 2015 to 2016 Chicago Blackhawks weren't just defending champions. They were a team staring down a league that had gotten younger, faster, and hungrier. Their record was 47 wins, 26 losses, and 9 overtime losses, good for 103 points and third place in the Central Division. The Blackhawks scored 234 goals, 6th best in the NHL, and kept their goals against at 207, a top 10 mark across the league. Every night, over 21,000 packed the United Center, with TV ratings spiking whenever number 88 took the ice. But behind the banners, the organization was feeling the squeeze. The salary cap sat at $69.3 million, leaving little room for error after locking in cornerstone deals for Toews and Kane. Roster turnover was inevitable, and the window for this core group to chase more cups was narrowing. If you could draft any version of Patrick Kane to bet your season on, which would you take, the electric rookie, the playoff legend, or the player about to redefine what mastery looks like in the modern NHL? In a league obsessed with finding the perfect line, the Blackhawks stumbled onto a trio that felt almost unfair. Joel Quenneville locked Patrick Kane, Artemi Panarin, and Artem Anisimov together in October 2015, and the ripple effect was immediate. Kane brought the creativity and vision, but Panarin's arrival rewrote what was possible. The Russian rookie, barely speaking English, finished the season with 77 points, 30 goals, 47 assists, while never looking out of sync with Kane. On the ice, their connection was pure instinct, quick one-touch passes, cross-ice lasers, and a sixth sense for where the other would be. Anisimov anchored the line, handling the heavy lifting down low, winning puck battles, and parking himself in front of the net to screen goalies and clean up rebounds. The numbers told the story. When this line was on, Chicago controlled nearly 58% of shot attempts, a Corsi advantage that flipped the ice in their favor. The trio's 5-on-5 shifts were a clinic in puck possession and offensive zone time. On the power play, Kane drifted along the quarter wall, Panarin roamed the slot, and Anisimov set up camp at the crease. Defenses scrambled, often forced to pick their poison. The chemistry wasn't just about highlight reel plays, it was the foundation that let Kane tap into a new level of dominance. With Panarin and Anisimov beside him, he wasn't just showtime, he was inevitable. From October 17th to December 13th, 2015, Patrick Kane turned the National Hockey League calendar into his own personal highlight reel. Night after night, he found a way onto the score sheet, sometimes with a slick setup, and other times with a pinpoint shot that left goalies shaking their heads. For a 26-game streak, Kane recorded at least 1 point, stacking up 40 points in all, 16 goals, and 24 assists. That was nearly a point and a half every night, over a stretch that most players would call a career month. Every team tried something different: defensive traps, shadow coverage, even double teams at the blue line. Coaches sent out their best checkers, desperate to slow him down. It did not matter. He was unstoppable. Kane slipped through seams, darted behind coverage, and threaded passes to Artemi Panarin and to Anisimov, who almost always seemed to be in the right spot. Even when the Chicago Blackhawks lost, Kane found a way to leave his mark. An assist here, a power play goal there. At one point, he tallied points against 16 different teams, including cup contenders and bottom feeders alike. The streak was not padded by empty netters or secondary assists. Kane scored at even strength, on the power play, at home, and on the road. He picked up multi-point nights against the Oilers, the Devils, and the Lightning, and he strung together a 7-game run where he scored at least 1 goal each game. A heater inside the heater. By early December, Opponents had started to game plan entire weeks around stopping him, but the points just kept coming. The league had not seen anything like it from an American-born player. Kane's consistency forced everyone, fans, coaches, and rivals to admit that this was not just a hot streak. It was a new standard. On November 28, 2015, Patrick Kane did something no American-born player had ever done. With a power play goal against Detroit, he notched a point in his 19th straight game, passing Eddie Olczyk and Phil Kessel for the longest point streak by a US-born skater in NHL history. The United Center erupted. ESPN splashed the headline across the ticker. Mike Modano called him the most dominant American ever on live television. Within hours, hashtag #KaneCheatCode was trending with 250,000 mentions, and highlight clips racked up over 1 million views before the weekend was out. But that was just the record book. Inside the streak, Kane was running a heater inside the heater. A 7-game goal binge from November 2nd to November 15th. He scored in every game, tallying 12 goals in that stretch. The goals came every way imaginable. Wraparounds, one-timers, breakaways, and snipes from impossible angles. Opposing coaches tried shadow coverage and stacked blue lines, but Kane kept finding daylight. Panarin and Anisimov fed him the puck, and every touch seemed to end up behind a goaltender shaking his head. The proof that this was not just a hot hand came later that winter. January 15th in Toronto, Kane picked up his first career hat trick, 3 goals in the opening period, leaving the Maple Leafs scrambling. Then on April 3rd against Boston, he did it again, this time torching Tuukka Rask and the Bruins' top defensive pair. Each hat trick brought a fresh wave of social media chaos and another round of cheat code memes. These were not just stats. They were the moments that made the case for Kane as the league's most valuable player, piling evidence on top of highlight after highlight. The numbers were gaudy, but the feeling was even bigger. Every night, it felt like something historic was about to happen. The final ledger on Patrick Kane's 2015 to 2016 season reads like something out of a video game. 106 points, 46 goals, and 60 assists led the entire NHL. For the first time in league history, an American-born player claimed the Art Ross Trophy, but the hardware did not stop there. The Hart Memorial Trophy, handed to the league's most valuable player, went to Kane as well. And when it came to the respect of his peers, the Ted Lindsay Award completed the sweep, another first for a US-born skater. Every major individual honor that mattered was his. Voters, coaches, and players from across the league agreed this was the best version of Kane anyone had ever seen. He did not just edge out the competition, he separated himself from the pack. Sidney Crosby, Jamie Benn, and even the surging Connor McDavid all finished behind Kane in the scoring race. The numbers were undeniable, but it was the way he did it, night after night, in every rink, against every defensive scheme, that made the verdict unanimous. If you had to draft a single season of Patrick Kane to anchor your team, this was the year that stood alone. The only question left was whether even an MVP campaign could carry the Blackhawks through the crucible of the playoffs. Game 5 against the St. Louis Blues pushed every nerve to the limit. With the Blackhawks' season teetering on the edge, Patrick Kane took over in double overtime. At 3 minutes 7 seconds of the second overtime, Kane slipped behind the Blues' defense, collected a loose puck, and fired a low-risk shot past Brian Elliott. The United Center erupted. That goal did not just keep Chicago alive, it was Kane at his most fearless, refusing to let the season end on anyone else's terms. Teammates mobbed him at the boards, the building shaking with relief and hope. For a moment, it looked like the magic might last forever, but the Blues were relentless. The series dragged to a 7th game in St. Louis. Chicago clawed back from a 2-goal deficit, with Kane scoring on the power play, but the Blues answered every push. In the third period, a deflection off the post and a rebound buried by Troy Brouwer sealed the Blackhawks' fate. Final score, 3-2 for St. Louis. The handshake line felt heavier than usual. Kane finished the series with 7 points in 7 games, one last burst of brilliance before the lights went out. The best version of Kane had done everything possible, but even a human cheat code could not bend the playoffs to his will. Today, Kane's 106-point masterpiece still stands as the highest single-season total by an American-born player. In an era obsessed with what's next, that record calls us back, reminding every fan just how rare true mastery is. Greatness like this isn't promised, it is witnessed. What's your all-time pick?